All right. Welcome back, Evon. I am so thankful to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, as I was talking about in your introduction, you have had such a journey. And I kind of want to very quickly just dive deep because I know our listeners, they're busy, we're homeschooling, we're building businesses, but you have a really interesting perspective on what self-care really looks like
Yeah,
for entrepreneurs that are homeschool. Can you share a little bit more about your perspective on that?
sure. Well, I am a single mom to two daughters, 25 and 18. And we have been on our unschooling journey now for over 10 years. And in the summer of 2017, was diagnosed with mental illnesses, PTSD, generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, and bipolar disorder, as well as being a refined food addict and overeater in recovery. So I've been experiencing symptoms for over 20 years, even though I only was just diagnosed in 2017. So after starting out on our unschooling journey um, over 10 years ago, I discovered how important it is that we all benefit from having time to ourselves individually. And of course, that looks different for everyone in each individual and unique situation. But for us as a single mom who battled extreme bouts of depressive episodes throughout the years, I started realizing how important it has been to take care of myself first and how that factors into how well I'm able to show up and be the best me I can be for not only myself, but for my children, for my business, and so on and so forth. So, what I did was I created what I call a life saving 8-step process to the acronym SELF-CARE that has been assisting me and others to sustainably learn the sacred art of divine self care and successfully let go of ideas and people that don't positively serve us or feed us and feed the direction that we're going in and what we're trying to do in our lives, which for us and many of your audience out here are homeschooling parents and CEOs who are trying to figure out how to make all of that work and create a balance. So for self-care, it stands for the S is saving ourselves, focusing on how do we do that individually. That's what I had to figure out. And I continue to figure out how to save myself, how to save my peace of mind, and all that comes along with that. Uh, Next, the E is figuring out what excites me. It's very easy, I've learned over the years, to allow our identities as parents to get lost as we are taking on homeschooling and unschooling our children, as well as being business owners. So I've been learning how important it is to remember and remind myself what it is that I actually like to do that has nothing to do with the business or my children. Okay. The L stands for loving ourselves. And of course, that looks different for each one of us. But for me, I've been learning to remind myself to focus on loving myself and nurturing myself. And that has to do with how I eat, what I eat, drinking more than enough water, getting as much rest as I possibly can, and watching things, making time to watch things that I like to watch, read things that I like to read, and listen to things that I like to listen to and do puzzles because I love puzzles and all those little pieces that make up me, who I cannot forget uh, as easy as it is to do. Um, the next part is the F in self care, which is forgiving ourselves. As we all know, as homeschool parents and business owners and daughters and mothers and wives, and the list goes on, um, we can very easily become overwhelmed with trying to be everything for everyone. And what I've been learning is how important it is to forgive ourselves and actually do away with an idea that we need to be everything to everyone. It's not possible. There is no such thing as perfection. Each and
Amen.
you know what I mean? Each and
Yep.
every one of us and our families are going to look different, and there's only so many hours in a day. So, the F, forgiving ourselves because we're human and we're not perfect. None of us are.
Yep.
The C stands for cutting negatrons out of our lives. I found that to be super important in regards to making sure that I'm surrounding myself with a network of supportive people instead of people who are doubting what I'm trying to do and what I am doing and placing seeds of doubt in my mind and even around my children, which does not help at all in any way, shape, or form. So, cutting negatrons out of our lives, as difficult as that might be sometimes, creating boundaries, learning how to love people from a distance, even if they're our family and friends, because there are things that we're doing that we're trying to accomplish. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
right.
Yep.
So the A is for advocating for ourselves. And that ties right in with cutting negatrons out of our lives. Learning how to advocate for what it is that I'm doing, how our household is working in a peaceful way that we have come up with together as a family. And all of that advocating for ourselves versus allowing people to try and tell us what to do or what we should do and so on and so forth. And they're not even in our family. Uh,
Absolutely.
right? So the R is for respecting ourselves, figuring out what does that look like individually for each one of us instead of letting someone else tell us what that looks like. And the E is for embracing our journey as our own. Again, recognizing there's no such thing as perfectionism, there's no such thing as perfect. This is our journey, it is unique, and we should embrace it and embrace all of the imperfections and all of the flaws and the roller coaster because it's gonna be that and it's okay. Um, so this process is expanded on in my ebook, Let Go or Be Dragged, Learning the Healing Art of Letting Go. And I have some ways to protect our mental health that I want to share with everyone while we are homeschooling and unschooling and running our businesses and getting our CEO on. So, as I just mentioned, one way is making sure that we prioritize our self care in some capacity every single day. It is so important, even if it is as simple as a gratitude ritual that we are doing every morning when we wake up. Just even if it's just mentally, if not writing down, what are we grateful for? And we're going to learn, if we're not already doing that, that list can go on and on and on. And it is a heck of a way to start our day and remind us all that we have to be grateful for. And whatever might be, it helps to counter whatever stress we might be feeling on any given day that has to do with what's going on within our family unit or our business or both, you know. So, and also I've been learning when we as parents um, prioritize our self-care, we become an example to our children. And that,
Yes.
right? And so that's the next tip that I have is to, as we learn how to prioritize self-care in some capacity for ourselves every single day, then also work to assist our children with learning to appreciate and look forward to time with themselves in some capacity every day as well. With the gratitude ritual thing, that was something that my children and I did regularly throughout the years as they were growing up. We kept gratitude journals in the house, so they had them in their rooms, but also we kept them in the car. So when we would be out and about on our field trips, going here, going there, hey y'all, let's pull our gratitude journals out and let's talk about what we're grateful for. And we just made that a regular part of our days. And it was a way that we were able to check in with ourselves and make it a ritual, make it a routine, and show how important it is for us to do that. Um, and my children still remind me of that now at 25 and 18, of us, you know, doing that throughout. But they're recognizing even more now that they're older, why it's so important to think about what we have to be grateful for every day. Another tip is to come up with boundaries in regards to what keeps us sane and recognize how important it is to keep these boundaries in place. That's going to look different for each one of us and each one of our families, but it's important. And also embrace the fact that it's going to evolve. Those boundaries are going to evolve. They can change from day to day or from year to year, month to month. Um, and the last tip that I have is be easy with yourself and be easy with your family. Because again, there is no such thing as perfect. We're all just taking this 1 second at a time, one day at a time. And as I mentioned in the 8 step process, self care, what does it look like to love ourselves? This is one of the ways. It looks to love ourselves is to be easy with ourselves, be kind to ourselves, be sweet to ourselves. So that's a way that we nurture ourselves. And of course, again, when we show our children that we are intentional about being kind to ourselves and loving on ourselves, being a motivating force for our own selves, then it can encourage them as an example to do the same with themselves. Um, Therapy is phenomenal. It's certainly been a lifesaver since I have been blessed to be diagnosed and finally step into what it looks like to get assistance with these symptoms that I have been battling for years. So don't count therapy out if you already are not getting it.
That,
And there are different ways to be able to access that. Yeah.
you know, I'm a big believer in therapy. Like we
Yeah.
talk about it a lot. I think every entrepreneur should be in therapy because
Yeah.
every time you level up, girl, it's
Yes.
another thing. And I love what you said about we're setting the example for our kids
Yeah. Yep.
because they're following our lead. And so when we take time to love ourselves and to show ourselves grace and to put our mental health as a priority and to really practice self-care. And like you said, it's not this complicated thing.
No, it's not. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't
It
have
doesn't
to
have
be.
to. I
Yeah.
understand how it can feel that way, especially if we weren't shown that growing up.
Yeah.
If, you know, we don't see that around us as far as our friends, you know, prioritizing that. and family members. I can understand how it can feel difficult, but it doesn't have to be difficult and it doesn't have to be complicated. Because at the end of the day, from what I've been learning, it's really all about tuning in, checking in, tuning in, and slowing our thoughts down enough to be able to hear what it is that we need emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. So, yeah.
So good. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tell our audience where they can connect with you more, because I know they're all going to want to.
Okay. So we over at ForeverUnschooled.com. That's ForeverUnschooled.com. We have private one-on-one unschool lifestyle coaching by yours truly, and a blog and a bountiful list of homeschooling and unschooling resources. And you can also find out more about all of my endeavors and all of my CEO hats that I wear, and my children, because my girls, they wear CEO hats as well. You can find out about all of those endeavors at abundanceisourbirthright.com. And that's ABUNDANCEISOURBRITE.com. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
And we will make sure to put all of those links in the show notes and in the meeting notes as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. I want to say one more thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is no shame in needing to talk with a therapist about what is going on in your mind and in your life. It's no shame. Please do not feel any shame. It actually signals a strength and courage. So, yeah, I want to.
Amen and amen. I am with you 100%. We are so open in the homeschool CEO community about that. I
Yeah.
have a therapist.
Yes. Yes.
Like, we normalize it. We normalize things because we deal with a lot. So I thank you for just reminding us of that there is no shame. It
Yes.
is a sign of strength. So thank you so much again for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right.